Trump's Federal Communications Commission Chairman Brendan Carr threatened to revoke license of the broadcasters over their coverage of the Iran war. He accused news channels of running hoaxes and news distortions and warned them to correct course before their license renewals come up. The law is clear. Broadcasters must operate in the public interest, and they will lose their licenses if they do not, wrote Carr in a Truth Social post. His threat drew a reaction from U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren, who called the threat illegal intimidation of free speech and termed the move straight out of the authoritarian playbook. He shared a Truth Social post by U.S. President Donald Trump, which criticized the news media coverage of the Iran war, claiming it wants the United States to lose the war. The New York Times and the Wall Street Journal in particular, and other low-life papers and media actually want us to lose the war, wrote in a post on Truth Social. The post specifically referred to a Wall Street Journal article that mentioned 5 U.S. Air Force refueling planes had recently been struck and damaged by an Iranian missile at Prince Sultan Air Base. Trump called those reports intentionally misleading and claimed that 4 of the 5 tankers had virtually no damage and are already back in service. Trump's Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth complained at length about CNN's coverage of the U.S.-Iran war. He further added that he is looking forward to the management of the network by Trump loyalist David Ellison, who is seeking to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery through its Paramount Skydance for $111 billion. This will in turn bring CNN under Ellison, who is known for replacing leadership at CBS with conservative journalists. A CNN poll found that 59% of U.S. citizens oppose the war. The support for the U.S. war on Iran is at 27 to 38%, which is significantly lower than previous U.S. military adventures, like the Afghanistan War, 88 to 92%, the Gulf War of 1991, 79 to 80%, the Iraq War of 2003, 70 to 76%, the Libya War of 2011, 47%. Even among Republicans, it's 76% compared to 96% Republicans who backed Afghanistan and 90% backed the Iraq War. The core problem had been incoherent messaging from the White House and a lack of a compelling grand narrative to mobilize the nation behind the flag. The goals are not clearly articulated to the supporters, and even Trump himself continues to shift the goalpost as the war enters its 3rd week. There is no clear intelligence on Trump's supposed claim that Iran was preparing for an attack. The Western morality of delivering justice to Iranian women from the Iranian regime failed in the early hours of the epic fury as the U.S. struck a girls' school in Minab, killing at least 176 children and staff. The bottom line is that the U.S. has lost both the domestic and international war of narrative. This will seem insignificant right now to the Trump administration and its loyalists, who are still confident in U.S. military might. But it will be damaging if Trump ever considers a ground invasion of Iran. It would require a national draft to mobilize the manpower needed to invade a country as huge as Iran, which will inevitably see civil unrest and might lead to a civil war.